Welcome back for another helping of oysters, clams, and cockles, bringing you the best TV shows and movies weekly in an easily digestible podcast packed with laughs by me, Ross Bolin, and my dear friend, Mr. Barrett Dudley. Barrett.
Ha 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 ha. Ha 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 ha.
Are you doing the Joker laugh?
It's packed with laughs today. So, I'm just laughing.
Have you watched the Joker since it came out?
Do you mind me laughing?
No. Just that was the Joker laugh.
No. And as we talked about on our Movie Club Patreon episode about Joker, it's not a movie I'll probably ever watch again.
So I started watching it again.
Okay.
I don't know, the mood struck. And I got about 20 minutes in, and then I was like, this is fucked, I'm out. Not because it's not good, it's great. It's just...
Oh, yeah,
we got enough problems, man.
Exactly, yeah.
I didn't need that darkness in my life.
Oh, it's a dark one.
Indeed it is.
Sure thing.
Indeed it is.
Yeah.
Any other quips from you before we...
Oh, no. I wanted to do like...
I wanted
to launch here with just like a hard Cockney accent, based off Butcher and Butcher's pops there.
Yeah,
but
that was a real battle.
Every other word that they say is the C word, and I don't want to just like assault people's ears here in the first 30 seconds of the podcast.
I love the C word.
By dropping that a bunch of times, It's like...
I don't even say the C word.
Yeah, and right? Like, it's like... You ever listen to any comedy from the Australian guy Jim Jeffries?
No.
Okay. He's a funny dude from Australia, and they say it like we would say like damn,
Yeah.
It is just part of the lexicon there, and clearly for Butcher and his familia, it seems to be as well. But I'm not gonna do that here. So yeah.
I'm going to say I appreciate that.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Would have been a strange start to the show, just
that's what I
dropping C-bombs left and right.
That's how I thought. That's what I was thinking about it, too. Yeah.
On today's episode, we will finally be returning to Clamstone Ranch for coverage of Yellowstone Season 2, Episode 1. Also, we have The Boys, Season 2, Episode 7, Lovecraft Country, Episode 8, and, of course, we're opening with general entertainment talk in the form of tidbits and such with Barrett. But first, this episode of OCC is brought to you by Felix Gray glasses. Barrett and I constantly have our faces in screens from morning to night, just like so many of you, because there is no longer any cutting back. And as a result of using screens all day, by the end of the day, your eyes are tired. They're dry. You get headaches. It sucks. Everybody's familiar with those symptoms. Felix Gray Glasses is here to help and stop all that mess. They launched in 2016 with the singular focus of offering the most effective computer glasses on the market with all the quality of brand name designer frames, and they quickly became the internet's favorite blue light glasses. Everything's only gotten bigger and better from there. They filter out 90% of high energy blue light, eliminate 99% of the harsh glare coming from your screens. Compared to their competitors, they're just a cut above. And, every day when I slide mine on at the end of the day, whether I'm gaming or getting ready for bed and want to watch a show for OCC or whatever, instant comfort and relief from the symptoms that I experience on a day-to-day basis as a contact lens wearer in Austin, Texas, the allergy capital of hell. And unlike other brands in the blue light glasses market, Felix Gray uses a proprietary technology. It's not going to chip or scratch on you like some of these other brands. They've got ineffective crap on their products, and Felix Gray is incredible. That is not what you're looking at here. They are available in prescription, non-prescription readers. They've got you covered with optical glasses for work, sleep glasses in the evening that are clinically proven to increase melatonin secretion when worn leading up to bedtime. Don't buy glasses from a company whose sole focus isn't making glasses. Trust Felix Gray like I do, because they make the best blue light glasses in the game. Go to felixgrayglasses.com/OCC and get a pair of blue light glasses from the pros today. I've got the Faraday frames and the Nash. If you want to check out the Faraday and the Nash, shipping and returns totally free. That's FELIXGRAY glasses.com/OCC, felixgrayglasses.com/OCC. And now it's time for Tidbits and Such with Barrett.
It's good that you got the Nash frame, since we're close friends with Steve Nash after our run-in with him at the Atlantis in the Bahamas, nominally
2005, I believe.
10 years ago.
Perhaps.
No, that one was
a later one?
That was a later one. Yeah, so it was like
indeed.
2009.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Barrett and I are very worldly traveled and have many, many celebrity friends. One of which is Mr. Steve Nash, now coach of the Brooklyn Nets.
Now coach of the Brooklyn Nets,
and was controversially hired and then admitted to having a privilege in his way up the ladder to being a head coach. Just a bizarre situation.
Yeah, and then Kyrie Irving was basically like, "Yeah, we're not going to listen to that guy."
Yeah, he wants their team to be like some type of futuristic. I don't know what the word for this is. We're just it's free flowing, man. Everybody's a coach, man. We're all gonna be coaches. Yes, Steve will be there, but we're all coaching.
Yeah. Love to see that the new way of thinking. Okay, but on to the TB and the S. Do you want to start light or do you want to start heavy?
Heavy.
Heavy?
In me with the levity.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Movies are dead. Long live movies.
Oh. What happened?
Well, this is a developing story that we've been covering here on both Tidbits and Such with Barrett and Such Bits and Tid with Ross.
Indeed.
But nobody knows what to do about the movies, about the people going to movies, about the movie theaters themselves, about the release date of movies. And just this week, Regal Cinemas has decided that it will close all 536 of its U.S. theaters on Thursday. That means that 40,000 people are getting furloughed.
Oh, no.
They're also closing 100 theaters in the UK. This is the second largest film exhibitor in the US behind AMC theaters. So this is a massive domino falling. And I don't think that this is not Cineworld, which is the umbrella corporation that Regal lies within. This is not them saying, we're done, we're out, we're shuttered, we're closing down, see ya never. This is saying, like, we're out on the movie showing business until there is some way to show movies with people coming into the theater comfortably and, like, you know, the biggest blockbuster of 2020 not making $6 million in its opening weekend or whatever, right? Like, this is
referring to Tenet.
Tenet, yeah. Along with that, No Time to Die has been pushed back again to 2021. The Batman, starring Robert Pattinson, pushed back to 2022. Only a matter of time before everything that was left on the slate for the rest of this year probably gets pushed back.
Yeah, because they've got no motivation.
I expect everything from Wonder Woman to Dune, all of it. I expect gets pushed back, like at a minimum 6 months.
If
they will
Dune
try,
comes out in the next 6 months, I'll be shocked.
Yeah, the Dune especially, which is like I don't know what the budget for it was. Is probably I could probably look it up. But probably like $300 million at least.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah. So, but I mean, they're not gonna.
200 million.
They're not going to half-ass that with a holiday release where nobody wants to go to the theater or feels comfortable going into the theater. Or they got to space it out every 6 seats or like whatever. Like, it's just It
didn't seem when we went even. It didn't seem like a viable long-term or even short-term solution. It's just not very comfortable. For anybody.
So and it's just this is shocking and painful in a lot of ways because, man, this is like the one thing. It's like movies and live music, whether that's a festival or concerts. Like these are the two things that they really just cannot figure out, and at this point now it doesn't look like they will be able to figure out until there's some type of vaccine, until there's some more, higher percentage of herd immunity. Basically, until like this thing is like borderline done.
Which is unfortunate because the other realm that was most concerning, obviously, was sports world.
And they've kind of figured out sports.
Well, television saves them, right?
Yes.
They basically have figured out, well, we don't need the live audience as much. And it feels like the natural progression here is that movie theaters don't exist anymore. Like, you know what I mean? Okay, if we can't... Football stadiums and these football teams are backed by billionaires and tons of sponsors, and they've found a way to make the TV stuff work, so they're still getting their advertising revenue. Movie theaters, it's like there's no other use for them other than to show movies.
Right. But as we've talked about before, like I just don't – you're never going to – if movie theaters go away, then movies like Dune and Tenet are also going away, and I don't think that that's going to happen.
At least
because you're not pushing
temporarily, probably
right
because you're not going to be able to recoup on the budget
and
through streaming,
and you don't want to show Dune and Tenet on even if you have like a great setup. It's like those are movie theater movies.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
But I do think that the progression here is inevitable. Like. Clearly, with the streaming era and the video on demand era, things shifted away from the theater already. It was already not a good spot for them. I mean, I think they were doing okay in terms of financials, like comparatively to past decades or whatever. But this past decade, it's just seemed like And how many movies have you watched for the first time because you rented it in the house, or you said like, well, fuck it, I don't feel like going to the theater, or watching it just on Netflix or Hulu or HBO Max or whatever, Amazon?
I mean, personally, not many.
I've watched a fuckload.
Yeah, I have not. I did The King of Staten Island and have like watched a couple of movies like for the second time, like went back to old movies.
But you're more TV.
I'm not. Yeah, if I'm at home and forced,
I mean,
relegated to only my couch and streaming services, I'm just watching TV. And I mean, I think we're both right here. I think that big budget movies are likely going to be just fully on pause. Like, I don't expect production to start on a massive budget movie now.
For years.
I would say for a year.
I mean, at a minimum, hopefully. Because we just don't know we've got no outcome here. And it's the thing that's driving people mad, is that we don't have a timeline, really. We don't know.
Yeah.
And it's the thing that's made this such a difficult financial decision for movie theaters, is that, look, they've been just bleeding for months and months and months and months and months.
Yeah.
And at some point, somebody has to make a decision to try to save the industry, or at least pause it or something, so they're not just bleeding cash.
Yeah. Well, and this is the smartest thing that they can do to try. They basically are going to be forced into hibernation until there is positive news.
It's just wild to see.
Even I just got a push notification right before we started recording that there has been somebody popped for COVID on the set of Jurassic World Dominion, another huge budget, massive blockbuster movie, and it's just like they're going to keep running into this issue, and it's not like sports again where one person pops and it's like we can still play the other games, we can still shelf this person. Patriots can still play, even though Cam got it because nobody else did.
Have another quarterback, a bench player.
The whole thing
can't sub out Robert Pattinson and just bring in some other guy.
And they're not making any money while, in fact, they are spending and losing money while in production.
Right.
They don't make the money until much later when the movie comes out and hits theaters. So you're not going to enter into any productions that are costing $100, $200 million.
And the reason being, the people
backing
those films,
idea when the movie will actually be able to hit theaters.
When you will recoup your investment, if at all.
Right.
Right now, if you're a big movie producer, backer, company, and or individual, it's a serious problem. So that's a shame for the movie industry, and we hope to see somebody. It's one of those things. It's like adapt and survive, right?
Yeah.
You're going to have to see some adapting on the side of the movie industry. We're going to see, we've seen a little. We've seen some changes. We've seen some stabs in the dark, Disney Plus Premium with Mulan.
Yeah.
But something has to give when it comes to movie releases for the next 6 months at a minimum.
Yeah.
Because right now, the theaters are not a thing that are happening.
Right. And I think you're going to get a lot of Palm Springs and American Pickles. And
God, well, one was great and one was awful.
The Kissing Booth and like all this other type of kind of middling B movie type stuff.
You want a little Such Bits and Tid with Ross before we get to your next one?
Sure.
Okay, I'm thinking of ending things. I watched it, and it looked like one that might be up my alley. I like the dark, scary thrillers and the weird shit. I'm gonna just go ahead and say, nah. That's my review. Nah.
So I have not seen a trailer for this movie. I don't know what it looks like. I don't know who's in it. I don't know what it's about.
You haven't seen the trailer? It's like, I'm thinking of ending things.
No.
Strange, weird shit. Fucking showing you.
I have seen tweets about this movie.
Okay.
Pretty much all of them.
It's a Charlie Kaufman written and directed.
I'll paraphrase here. We're like, this movie ruined my weekend.
Yeah, no, it's not just that it's like depressing as shit. You literally have to watch these two people speak that clearly hate each other. Like, that's the movie. It's Jesse Plemons, I believe is his last.
Jesse Plemons, yeah.
Plemons, and then Jesse Buckley.
Oh,
playing Jake.
She's in Fargo.
And young woman. And, man, they don't like each other. And they're mostly in a car together.
Yeah.
Wait, is young woman the other character? That can't be right. Is it Lori? It doesn't matter. The movie fucking sucked. It was mostly a dark hole. And there was nothing it was like the ending was confusing. You don't really know what happened. I know you're not supposed to, but it's like one of those artsy ones that just falls flat. And unless you're a completely miserable human being, you will leave a little more miserable. And that is the end of Such Bits and Tid with Ross.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's. So that's the heavy news. Is that it just more uncertainty for movies, and Regal is shutting down until further notice, basically.
Where's our light?
And it's sad. So
Shine the light.
We'll start to get lighter here. Speaking of movies, over the weekend, a movie tease was released. Again, this movie is supposed to come out in January of 2021. We'll see what happens. This one feels like it's more likely to end up going directly to video on demand. It's interesting for a couple of reasons. I saw it posted from Jessica Chastain's Instagram.
Ooh.
If you listen, you know that I'm a fan of Jessica Chastain. This movie is produced by her. It's called The 355, and it is an upcoming American spy film. And you will notice straight away from the poster that it is a stacked ass cast. It is Jessica Chastain, Lupita Nyong'o, Penelope Cruz, Diane Kruger, and Fan Bingbing.
Fan Bingbing,
who is a Chinese star, I believe. And the male leads are Sebastian Stan.
I thought it was Bing Bing Fan, but that's neither here nor there.
AKA the Winter Soldier from the Avengers franchise.
Serious. I think it's Bing Bing Fan.
Oh, I'm reading off of Wikipedia where they have it listed as Fan Bing Bing, but sometimes they do the last, like, the family name first.
I'm telling
right?
you, I'm on IMDb and I've got you here.
Okay,
Bing Bing Fan.
Now I'm looking at the poster. It looks like Bing Bing Fan.
Yep,
okay.
Yep.
And Edgar Ramirez. So, just a wildly loaded cast. Now, again, weird because it is October. This movie is supposed to come out in November, December, in 3 months. It seems this felt like a movie where, like, you'd see the trailer a year before it came out.
Yeah, why are they doing this?
January is a dumping ground for movies as is.
Maybe this is just a shit show.
So it's got it's and what's also worrisome is that Jessica Chastain, this was her idea, female-led spy film in the same spirit as Mission Impossible or James Bond or Jason Bourne, and she worked together with her director on Dark Phoenix, Simon Kinberg. As we all know, Dark Phoenix was like a complete and utter catastrophe.
Yeah, we were real stoked on it after Game of Thrones ended.
Widely panned
as
a bad shit movie. And this is the guy directing it. The fact that they were basically like, and here it is, and it's coming out in just a couple of months. Here's the trailer, January.
And the theaters are like, and we're shutting down. And they're like, well, the movie's coming. Yeah. Direct to
doesn't bode well for what this movie ends up being like.
It'll probably get swept under the rug.
And I'm mad. I'm big mad.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand, like, these big female-led tentpole movies, whether it's the 2016 Ghostbusters or Ocean's 8 or the 355, like, these should be badass movies. Why can nobody figure out how to make these good?
I don't know.
Like, it's a disservice to these actors, man, because, like, I want to see all these chicks kick ass in a movie together.
I think it's just that there are, honestly, it's like really hard to make a good movie, man.
I haven't seen it yet, but producer Mike did have really, really good things to say about Birds of Prey, the Harlequin movie.
He did.
Which has been back on my radar now because Journey Smollett from Lovecraft Country is one of the badass chicks, and she's one of the Birds of Prey.
Help me with the movie that was written by Jonah Hill's younger sister. Bookworm?
Booksmart.
Booksmart. That was great.
I don't think she wrote it.
Whatever.
She starred in it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, that is a bummer about the 355, as it looks like. Here's your premise. When a top-secret weapon falls into mercenary hands, a wild-card CIA agent joins forces with 3 international agents on a lethal mission to retrieve it while staying a step ahead of a mysterious woman who's tracking their every move.
So, something to look out for. Moving on. You ready to move on?
Mm-hmm.
Back to. I forgot to include this in the heavy news.
Oh, God.
One of my favorite shows on Netflix, Glow, which had been renewed for a 4th and final season.
I saw Mark Maron tweet.
Canceled.
He said no
from
more.
COVID. Yeah.
Because of COVID.
This is going to keep happening, by the way. There will be. This is not the first.
So you think a lot of TV shows see their death?
It's not the first casualty. It won't be the last casualty. I expect that High Fidelity was in a similar situation.
So that doesn't mean we're coming back when this is all over. It means we are deciding collectively to move on from this project as a result of the circumstances. We don't see a way forward.
Yes.
Fuck, that's sad.
Yeah, and that's largely because I believe in both of these, in High Fidelity and Glow, you're dealing with people like Zoe Kravitz and Alison Brie and Betty Gilpin and Mark Maron, all who have stacked ass schedules.
Yeah.
And so if they're committed to shooting something in 21 already, or if they want to work on this in 21, it's too hard to say like, oh, well, we'll come back to production when we can and when everybody can fit this back in their schedule.
Right.
So
like,
it's
when
just,
is that?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, it's just, they just have to let it go, which
That's
is
a
sad.
bummer. That's a big bummer.
The third season was...
Because imagine if it was, imagine if it was a historic show like The Sopranos or The Wire or something, Arrested Development, or one of the greats that we all respect and love, Game of Thrones. And this was like, this happened in a random season 3 of one of those shows and it got canceled forever. Arrested Development would have been great news.
Now, with those, like the shows that we're talking about are like, moderate successes. Glow was one that they kept on because it was up for awards, and like the people that were watching it were really, really liking it.
But it was smaller.
It wasn't moving the needle.
More niche
so
audience.
It's easier to throw this away. Like
Gotcha.
if this had all happened after season 5 of Game of Thrones, they would have come back.
Okay.
You can't leave that hanging, right?
But I don't know. It's just interesting because they would have been a similar problem for them where all these actors and actresses are getting into movies, but then again, there's no movies being shot either. It's just chaos out there.
Who was in a movie?
It's just chaos.
From that show.
Literally, God, Macy Williams, please never don't do movies. Just look at these other fools. Look what they've done.
Next up, speaking of Game of Thrones,
not fair to Tyrion, who was great in some movies.
There's casting news for Game of Thrones. Star of The Outsider, one of the stars, Patty Considine, will return to HBO and top-line the series, the prequel series, The House of the Dragon. Our man Clyde from The Outsider, old Patty Considine.
Okay. That's interesting.
He will star as King Viserys Targaryen.
Ah, I like his face for this.
Yeah, he seems like a Game of Thrones actor. Honestly, it's shocking that Patty Considine, a British actor, didn't make an appearance in the original series.
Kind of is,
right?
Since we got all of the British actors.
Yeah, they got everybody, didn't they?
I mean, we had every other famous British actor ever except for Michael Caine.
Michael Caine.
I just couldn't fit him into the costume.
No. My final tidbit here is, did you watch SNL? Did you see Jim Carrey as Joe Biden?
Yes, I did not watch SNL because I am not an SNL watcher. I am an SNL clip consumer.
Sure.
So I have seen Jim Carrey as Joe Biden. I have not seen the entire episode.
That's fine. All he did was the opening as Joe Biden.
Yeah, it was good.
He was phenomenal.
Yeah, Jim Carrey is the man.
He absolutely crushed it.
Hold on. Gets out the tape measure, moves his fucking podium like a foot left.
It was a perfect mixture of like Jim Carrey. I thought that they did the makeup and the prosthetics really, really well. It was so like they made fun of the right things, I thought, which is that Biden is potentially senile. He's maybe losing it a little bit. The dude's like 77.
Yeah.
I loved it. People thought a lot. I saw some critiques that it wasn't warm enough, but like we're not paying service to Joe Biden here. We're making fun of him.
It's a comedy show.
So I thought that they did everything. I just loved it. I thought that I was worried about how they were going to tackle that debate.
Uh-huh.
I thought the cold open was really funny and really well done. And I loved Jim Carrey as Joe Biden. I'm looking forward to more of that.
When SNL skews further left with their skits, it tends to kind of ruin the humor because it's stilted, right? And they do this, that's historically just most of the writers and most of the actors and characters are very liberal California people.
Or New York people.
Or New York people. And just in general, artists and actors and actresses tend to lean more left historically.
Yeah,
there's very few that lean right, and when they do, they stand out like a sore thumb. And I thought they struck the correct tone. Don't make fun. Do it correctly. Make fun of both of these idiots if you're going to make fun of one of them. SNL cannot be the Donald Trump joke zone where then we make Joe Biden look cool. They have to make fun of both of them,
right?
Or there is no comedy to be had there. Really.
Yeah.
So I thought, no, it was phenomenal. I love Jim Carrey. I was very much looking forward to this.
Also, just nice to see him back up there doing his thing,
stuff,
man.
Do some more stuff, Jim.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake, man. Enough philosophizing.
And I feel like he pulled out of this, the slapstick arena.
Yeah, he did. He basically did.
You get this feeling that he didn't want to do that anymore.
He did it. I think he even did interviews where he spoke to he didn't want to be just this like buffoon.
Right. But look, man, when being a buffoon, when being a caricature, when being funny as shit is your gift, your God-given gift,
you do it.
You got to use it.
It bothers me when this happens with a lot of really good actors too. Like not just comically funny guys, but like a Daniel Day-Lewis situation where he's like, I will give you one more film. It will be about a dressmaker, and then I am out. And I'm like, what do you mean you're out? You're like the best in the world at this, and you're fucking 50. Like, get your ass back out there and you find that goddamn dog.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
Yeah, man. Picasso didn't stop painting.
No.
Right up until the day he died, man.
Monet went fucking blind, and he was still painting the stupid water lilies.
Yep.
Yeah. Anyway.
So,
I thought Jim Carrey was great. I love Jim Carrey so much that he could have literally bombed it, and I wouldn't have known any difference. So.
That's fair.
Yeah.
And I would say that he did not bomb. Thought it was very funny.
I love the pistol shooting. The hand pistol he did.
Here's the deal. All the
here's
the deals. Very good.
Is that it with tidbits?
That's it with tidbits, man. We can move on into the shows here. A lot of crazy stuff coming.
Very light.
Down the pipeline.
For those of you who have been beaten down and depressed by the opening of this podcast, in which we revealed that the movie industry is in dire straits, and we are going to get blessed with a drought here at some point that we've been discussing for many months in terms of new entertainment, television, and movies. The good news is this: we're back at Clampstone Ranch.
Oh, hell, Ross.
We're covering Yellowstone again. I even wore my cowboy hat. I put on a button-down shirt so I could look more like a ranch hand. I'm wearing fucking boots. If you're on youtube.com/BolandMedia, I've got boots on. You can't even see them when I'm sitting here at the table. It's literally just so I could be that in the zone.
Yeah. That's commitment.
It is.
I know. I see you have your Astros jersey and your Astros hat over there.
I wore those for the Ross Boland podcast.
And we typically think on the same wavelength for a lot of stuff. I did think about coming in today with my Astros hat on until we got to the Clampstone where I would put on my Western hat.
Sure.
I didn't. Just like I didn't bring Frescas last week. I just keep blowing this.
You're just blowing the props while I am wearing boots and shorts.
Yeah,
like a man.
But you're backing me up here.
I got you. I got your back.
So,
hell, Barrett, I got your back. We're in season 2, episode 1 of Yellowstone, where
we wandered off the ranch for a little bit, just like a lost calf. But here we are, trotting back onto the old Clampstone.
Oh, you know why?
And
Barrett.
the thing is,
yeah,
I never even got permission to leave.
Hell, and you never will.
And I never will.
Might as well stare up at that big Montana sky and take it in because, bitch, this is your home now.
The thing about this country, it's got a big sky.
It does indeed.
And the people here, they got big hearts, and I just love sitting around with the people of this great state looking up at those twinkling stars.
Montana.
Because it's big sky country, baby.
It's Montana. Speaking of my hat, in this episode, well, let's just start with where we need to start. The drama, the soap opera nature of this show. If you were wondering how they would handle it from the season finale of season 1 into the opening of season 2, they have only further embraced it.
Yeah, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop here, and then finally John Dutton has to, get impromptu frantic surgery in a vet trailer where they're doing they're going full on scalpel, no anesthesia.
Scalpel.
Cut him open.
That's Jim Carrey.
Clamp the ulcer, do all that nasty shit. I honestly, the doctor even saying, this thing's going to spray like a geyser. I was expecting
everyone
gushing
to come out of there,
blood everywhere. And then they reeled themselves in for the blood gushing. And I don't know why. Just let it all hang out, man. Just splash blood on the screen. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for at this point.
Everything is still very stressful for John, So he collapses and people are like, oh, God. And he's like, cancer. And then they're like, oh, God, it's not cancer. It's an ulcer because we got the vet. And you're just like, good Lord.
Yeah.
But the ranch hands can't stop fighting people everywhere.
It's nice to know that John Dutton's doctors never took X-rays of his torso to see the cancer. He had to pass out in front of a vet who got him up on the table for cows. And did an X-ray. Nobody put on the X-ray vest. I noticed they just all submitted themselves to harmful X-rays.
Yeah, it's bad for your testicles.
Not good.
Especially when you're a cowhand.
Everybody in that van now just infertile.
Yep. Similar to all the Secret Servicemen riding around with Trump.
Yeah.
It's just they've all been infected. But the ranch hands can't stop fighting people everywhere. Jimmy goes to a bar and he thinks he's mobbed up now and can't be touched, which it turns out is actually correct. Because literally the entire male population of Yellowstone comes to this bar, and they how did they get everybody to start running outside? Oh, they send a bull in the front door. Excuse me.
Yeah.
And then as people are streaming out the back door, they just have Jimmy calling them out like green shirt, and then that guy gets hit with a baseball bat and beaten to within an inch of life.
Here's how absurd this show is. After that beatdown, this was in the realm of possibility. Laura said, "Did they just kill all those guys?" As if that was just they just murdered everybody that was in the bar for fighting Jimmy.
Because here's what would happen, right? The ranch hands all roll off, and then one of the guys would roll over and be like, "What the fuck just happened?" They'd call the police, and then the police would come out and be like, "Why are there 9 of you?"
John Dutton is the police, Ross.
Beaten nearly to death. Yeah, John Dutton is just because owns so many people, they can just do whatever he wants, whenever they want, and of course Jimmy has discovered this power.
Yeah. Yes, he has.
Ryan Bingham refuses to take part in that fight.
He has had just about a dang enough.
He doesn't want to do the crimes or the time.
No.
He drops his bat. Him and our boy
Rip.
Almost called him Roy. Rip. They're not seeing eye to eye, Barrett. They're having real troubles.
Guess who else is not seeing eye to eye with Rip?
Who?
My man Casey.
Oh hell.
Looks like there's going to be a alpha dog fight.
Casey doesn't see eye to eye with anybody. Barrett.
Among these the cowboys, among the branded men. Because Rip, he's used to being the head honcho.
He is.
He's used to being in charge.
Yeah.
Taking over the day laborers.
Now Casey's
calling
around.
The shots.
Now Casey's around and he's a Dutton.
Now Casey's back around. He's a Dutton, and he's not going to let Rip boss him around no more.
Oh hell no. No, we got a real conflict brewing there. Beth is
we sure do.
Trying to take over the city of Bozeman, which, by the way, it says on the inside of my hat. Bozeman. I guess that's where it was made, in Montana, where I often spend time and stare up at the big sky.
Samsonite. That was way off.
They're trying to take over this city. I don't really know. She's got another old white guy with money at her beck and call. These guys just come out of nowhere.
What was her line about being, how are you packed for junk? Is that it? Was that it?
She was basically like, I didn't know how much fucking balls you had in your sack. And then he's like, I'll buy it all. Does that give you an idea of how much balls I've got in my sack? And you're like, good God. Is this necessary? It's so dramatic.
She's got a scheme. She's got a scheme there to essentially buy up all the land, get the government to pay them for the land, to basically get government subsidy to protect the land. So I don't know. You're like you put the land in a trust, and you got the government paying you. Uh-huh. You're getting paid not to rent it. The property value is going up at the same time. Like she's found this loophole to essentially buy up all the land surrounding the clamstone, and it's going to be her moat. That's going to be the protection. That's all them having all that land.
She's building a 400 square mile moat around Daddy's ranch.
Yeah, exactly.
Something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah. It is such a power move for wealthy people to go into small towns and ruin everything. She's like buying the nicest penthouse overlooking the fucking city of Bozeman and shit with her.
Yeah.
What is this guy? Is he like her sex slave? What's the assistant?
This is an assistant.
But she bones this guy.
She might.
It certainly seems like she does. I don't know. Beth is just a very aggressive woman. What else is happening? I don't know.
Well, the other thing that's happening here is
John Rainwater's having nightmares.
Bozeman is getting some great little coffee shops. Boy, I'll tell you what.
Oh, God.
You just have to go down the street and try the pour-over from the little coffee shop there.
You know who won't wait for that coffee,
I think it's called Mr. Bosie's. Just go down there, get a pour-over, single origin. It's going to take 10 minutes for it to, for it to rest and sit, but it's going to be the best dang cup of coffee you've ever had.
Straight out of The Sopranos, by the way. There is a scene in The Sopranos where Paulie and Big Pussy Bompancero, as it was, go to a coffee shop. They're looking for a man, and they have this whole episode that one of the side stories is like how ridiculous coffee shops are and how old school guys like mobsters and cowboys, well, they don't sit for 10 minutes and wait for their drip coffee to come out of some goddamn machine. They just fucking drink it.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
It won't even be hot by the time it's done. Shit.
Tell
anyway,
what,
so
just give me a drip cup of coffee, black. No frills, Ross.
She's like, what are you doing? Stop. And he just like chugs it in front of her.
Yeah, so we got Bozeman getting coffee shops. We have
Rainwater has a nightmare that Dan murders him.
Yeah, Casey's estranged wife is now back. Monica, thank you, is now back to take the job. Monica also in Fargo season 4. Wildly different role.
Have you started?
Yeah, I talked about it last week.
Oh yeah, I need to get in there.
She's now back for the job at the uni.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We've got speaking of real estate, our man's Dan, not dead.
Dan.
Not dead.
No.
They did not hang him. They cut him down.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Yeah, saw that coming. But was excited to see Dan's big dumb face.
Yeah, I couldn't tell at the end of episode 1, at the end of season 1. I mean, like, the fact that they didn't show him die, that they literally cut off the episode with him hanging on the rope.
Yeah.
It certainly made you think that they weren't done with him yet.
Would have been a hell of a loss.
But I was very certain that they, I was not certain of anything, I should say. So nice to see that they did cut his ass down and didn't just murder the man.
Yeah, because he's one of the big bads, and that would have been strange as hell. Looking forward to continued coverage of Yellowstone season 2. Obviously, do we want to try to get through a couple next week or just one? Or
yeah, I figured that we'll be through like 3 episodes next week.
Yeah. So let's say through episode 3 next week of Yellowstone season 2.
I think that's fair.
Thoroughly enjoying it. Nice little setup episode 1. Looking forward to the drama that the ranch will bring.
Oh yeah, a lot of conflict teed up there.
Sure is indeed.
Tell you what.
Sure is indeed. Hell, I'm worried about John Dutton and his fucking ulcer. All right, now let's talk about The Boys. Season 2, episode 7.
The Boys.
It is technically called Butcher Baker Candlestick Maker, but I will forever refer to it as the episode where everyone's heads explode.
Yes. Now, were you aware that this is the penultimate episode?
I was made aware it was penultimate after the fact. So as I was watching it, I will say, was not prepared for the large moves that happened at the end of the episode, the exploding heads and whatnot and such. But it kind of made it a funner ride for me, more fun, because I was just like, oh my, whoa, what the dude, what? It was so out of nowhere and unexpected that if had I known it was the penultimate episode, I may have been looking for something big there. So yeah, I guess we can just talk about what happened in the ending.
Yeah, let's jump there. What I'll say is that in the Discord,
yes,
the cord is strong.
The cord is strong. Join our Discord if you're on Patreon. It's for members of the Mollusk Militia only, I believe.
As it currently stands, patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles.
Support the show. Get more OCC.
Get that Discord link. The cord is strong. I saw a glimmer. There's lots of channels on that Discord, as you well know. There's some spoiler channels, but I'm just like I see a channel light up with new information, and I just click on it like a rat going for cheese. And so I saw something about how I saw a reference to shows going Game of Thrones. And so, unfortunately, I was in this episode I was actually waiting for somebody to die. I was waiting for like Butcher, Starlight, or Huey to get got.
Because as we've discussed, it's time, sort of.
Yes, although Butcher and Huey and Starlight seem off limits, don't they?
Yes, but you got to kill somebody here.
I know, but
we'll
see.
So you were scared that one of our actual main characters was going to Game of Thrones.
Yes.
And head explode. Just gone out of nowhere, no goodbye, just...
So then we moved into the conference, or the courtroom there, and I was like, oh, we're going Sept of Baylor. That must be... So I thought maybe everybody in here dies.
So you're looking for it already. Okay,
so I was looking for some type of explosion, or maybe Homelander to just murder everybody.
Just laser.
Or something like that.
We've seen him having these imaginatory...
I was on... It wasn't as shocking, but it almost made the ride more tense because I was just waiting for the record to play.
Something happened, yeah.
For the needle to drop.
Yeah.
So yes, this was wild. Everybody's heads start popping. Now, I just want to jump into the question: who do you think is doing this?
Here's the thing. I don't know where the new head of Vought is. I don't know what he's doing. We haven't seen him in several episodes. He's obviously
Mr. Edgar.
Mr. Edgar from Breaking Bad and Better Call Saul and many other things. Fantastic. What? John Carlos Esposito?
Giancarlo Esposito, yeah.
Okay. And I have to think he's somewhere pulling strings. When this first starts happening, when a head pops, we've seen this before this season, right? We saw it with their connect in the CIA. Her head explodes.
That was this season.
Episode 1.
Yeah.
And now we're seeing lots of heads popping, obviously done by the same person. Nobody knows who it is, unseen. When they start popping, I look to Homelander. What's his reaction?
Right, yeah.
He has the ability to do this, clearly.
He could.
It is not him, or he is the greatest actor of all time. Because he's looking around the room like he's thrilled, but he's like, whoa,
yeah,
this isn't me, bro.
Right, and you got the same idea from Stormfront as well. It doesn't seem to be either.
They don't know
of them
what's happening,
having anything to do.
It
with
doesn't seem they have any clue, those two, what is happening.
Yeah,
because they're very upfront with their evil maliciousness.
Yeah,
planning, talking, stealing children. They don't give a fuck. If this was them, they would have been all out front of it. They just stand there, and what a horrifying scene.
It was horrifying,
even to the point that Huey, watching on television, is like, oh my God, like one of them is like, is my fucking head going to explode? I can't remember if it was Frenchie or Huey. Somebody's watching. And just a bizarre scene. We have no clue who this is, though. There is no evidence for us.
Yeah.
I mean, my only thought is like, remember the chick from the institution that escaped that can crush things?
Right.
I don't know if there will be a connection, but that seems to be the timeline wouldn't match up. She was locked up when the first person's head exploded. Who would have already gotten her, trained her, gotten her on their side? She's exploding all these heads in this hearing.
Now, so we do see her hitching a ride off into some town.
So we don't know where.
But
we don't think that would have brought her straight to Vought or something that
I do think that there's going to be a connection there because they did. They very clearly showed us her ability. They very clearly showed her finding her way out of the compound and off to somewhere. Now, what we know about that is that those people were being given Compound V, and they were attempting to what did they say? Like equalize it, right? They're trying to
stabilize it. Further stabilize it.
Yeah. So it's possible that
it could be anyone.
What really. I could see, right, and what I could see happening, right, is that we've spent these first 7 episodes developing Homelander and Stormfront as this, horrible, just awful little villain partnership. Are they going to introduce somebody even bigger and badder? Could that be a guy like Mr. Edgar, who has figured out already how to stabilize the V
and perhaps utilize it.
Is perhaps utilizing it? Are they going to introduce an even bigger bad?
A bigger twist with a bigger bad, yeah. I could see that because there's a lot of questions surrounding the head popping. If you could have just done this, why not do it way before? Why make a showing of it in the public courtroom? Mm-hmm. Why not just pop all the boys' heads then? What is it? That's what makes it so mysterious.
Right,
it's somebody acting very tactically with a very violent and literally explosive ability that is, you know what I mean? It's not discreet. This is the opposite of discreet. Heads are exploding on national television. So it makes me wonder, would a guy like Mr. Edgar bring that type of attention to himself and his company? And I don't know, man. This is a really weird spot we're in there. So we don't know the answer to how it ends.
Yeah, it was wild, man, and I have such a weird relationship with this show in particular, and the violence that it portrays, because
it's so comic book.
Because to some degree, when Huey cuts off Lamplighter's hand there off the charred dead body.
Oh, you mean after he lights himself on fire?
After he self-immolates. I can sense in that moment, I can see watching the screen that I'm like, oh, the writers were having fun with this one.
Yeah.
They were like, oh, and then let's have Huey have to figure out how to fucking saw through bone and tendon of this dumbass that burned himself alive.
Yeah.
Right? That.
So he can use his hand to get out of stuff.
So you have that, So you have that element where they're definitely playing it for laughs, and then you definitely have the element, like you mentioned, where they are being very comic booky and very graphic with it. But then there seems to be another element where they are kind of almost like throwing it in your face, being like, "This is what you love, right? This you love all this violence."
That's the overarching message. Is like
So,
our
like,
relationship with violence as a consumer society, right? And then like the overindulgence of that, and sort of making it as big and bad as it can be in your face to get as visceral of a reaction as possible.
Yeah, and so it's so to some degree it feels like they're being like, so is this is what you like? How
this you like?
Have it, have it all.
But I will give you this. It feels like too much. Often recently.
So, right, exactly.
Where I'm like, all right, we fucking get it.
Yeah.
God damn, I had to watch 10 of the heads explode.
Exactly. And so then and the other piece of that we talked about where it's like, oh, you like this, right? It was the part of it where like, this is kind of what it would be like if these superheroes actually existed. It wouldn't just be fake cities getting destroyed with nobody actually dying. Like, it would be this really like nasty version of violence because these people can do all sorts of messed up stuff. Then you get to a scene like this where the heads are popping, and it is like so horrifying and graphic and over the top. They show so many heads getting popped that I'm like, okay, now am I supposed to be laughing again at this?
No, you weren't.
Is it so far that it's supposed to be like just like almost like haha, like all these heads popping?
I think maybe when you're watching Homelander and Stormfront's reactions, you could get a little giggle there. But when the heads are first exploding, no, you're not supposed to be laughing, and you're supposed to be like horrified. And it's so disturbing.
Yeah.
Right?
So I just it's certainly not enjoyable. This part of it, like
that
I get
not,
no. I'm fine with with some of the. I'm fine with pushing it. I'm fine with kind of showing what it would be like with real superheroes in real life, and I don't even mind it when it's played for laughs because like they set Lamplighter up as a huge douchebag the entire time. So I have
he couldn't have been worse.
Exactly. So you get this fucking God, that guy loves porn. So you want to chop his hand off for laughs, like go for it. But then you get to this head popping scene, and it's just like, I mean, it was effective, but I didn't love it.
I mean, one of the things the show does is address a lot of out there elements of our society. The porn guy is another one, right? Like, they really throw things in your face. And while I find that to be a very enjoyable part of the show, and I'm into the gratuitous violence, as we've mentioned many times over the course of covering HBO and Game of Thrones show, obviously. But yeah, they just felt like it kind of pushed the limit a little bit for me in terms of like the value versus just the disgustingness of it. Like, are we getting what we wanted to get out of this, or is it literally just to make me go, oh man, god damn, oh, this is horrible? Because this felt a little borderline. But regardless, the ending was insane and very confusing. I do want to touch on a couple other things that happened in the episode quickly. It starts out, the episode does, in a very and the more that this show goes, the more in relative it is to what's happening in the United States currently.
Sure.
And they clearly lean into that, but it really worked out timing-wise with the release of Season 2 and the way these episodes are unfolding, because Homelander and Stormfront are essentially mirroring some of what we are seeing in society and in politics today. And the episode starts off with this dude being so inspired by the media, so inspired by the repetitive speeches from Homelander and Stormfront about these super terrorists coming across our border and destroying America. And this guy is clearly sort of a loner. He's sort of lacking in direction, and he finds this thing to cling to, and it becomes the driving force behind his life. The most important thing to him is to get rid of these super terrorists who could be threatening America, based completely off of Homelander and Stormfront's propaganda run that they're on. And so what he ends up doing is they show him going to the same gas station, right? And the third time he goes, I think it is, the second time he goes, he notices a flash in the cashier's eyes. He thinks maybe this guy's a soup terrorist. He's obviously not a white American. The guy comes back. This time he brings a gun, and he shoots the soup terrorist between the eyes in a hate crime against what he thought was a superhero, right? So drawing that up, I mean, that was a very powerful beginning to this episode.
Yeah. It was again like very intense, and like this was an example of the portrayal of violence, which made sense to me because I understood what they were doing with it.
Yes,
right?
Exactly. And that's this moment. In no way did I say or stop myself and think that was unnecessary. it made a very good point, and it just did it in a way that was impactful and disturbing. But it wasn't 10 heads exploding where I don't know why they exploded, and I'm sitting there like, well, I already had to watch a guy get shot point blank in the face and then a guy get his fucking hand cut off. Did I really need the 10 heads exploding? So, but still, a very powerful opening to the episode. Other important stuff that happens, Homelander steals his son after a lot of back and forth with the butcher's wife, whom Homelander raped and then had a son with, and has moved off to this location where she's trying to raise the boy as normal. He obviously has superpowers as a result of Homelander being his father, and Stormfront being Homelander's new girlfriend and Nazi confidant. I thought that maybe last episode when we saw her confide in Homelander that she's a Nazi, we may see a little bit of a rift there.
Yeah. Turns out we were wrong.
Didn't happen. Man was leaned in. He's
Homelander
all about
is okay with the Nazis.
He's totally cool with it. They've got themselves a little plan on how they're going to start mixing things up in terms of the politics of soups in the United States. And they also decided they want to have their own little family. And this woman isn't doing a solid job with Homelander's blood. They need to take care of him and raise him. And they turn him against his mom, and then they fly away with him. And that poor woman.
Devil's advocate here.
Do it.
I kind of agree with Homelander and Stormfront that this kid shouldn't be raised in this little fucking weird bubble world.
Yeah, especially because he has powers that eventually he could accidentally use, like, without knowing how. Like, he needs to be trained up on this shit. The problem is it shouldn't be two sociopathic murderers and Nazis.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yes,
That part's problematic.
And now I think this is, I do get the sense that some of this is on purpose, but...
Oh, this is going to play, Barrett.
But
if you think that kid's not coming into play.
But...
Hey, Cameron Yates contract.
I don't know. She's kind of the worst.
She's the worst because of her situation, though. And I'll say this. Here's what I took this to sort of mirror. And it's kind of a weird thing, but you don't often consider the implications of, like, in this case, it's obviously a rape, very different, but relationships that produce children gone awry. Parents have different decisions about what they want to happen with that kid, and it creates massive, massive issues,
right?
Both for parents and children, and then in a lot of the case, it's the mother who gets the shit into the stick when it comes down to it through the court system, depending on what state you're in, and I totally feel you. The woman has not been fun at all. She is not a fun part of the show. She basically is only there to be like, no, we want him to be normal, and Homelander's like, but come on. And she's like, no, this is stupid. But there's no real, like, there's nothing for us to root for with her as an audience.
Exactly.
Really, because that kid is going to be an exciting piece of the puzzle.
Yeah. And, I mean, right. And it's not like she's, because of the way that they framed up the situation where she is on this weird compound with Vought, living this fake weird life. It's not like she's part of society trying to give this kid a normal life. She keeps talking about wanting to give him a normal childhood, but this is not a normal childhood.
Place. Yeah.
He has no friends. Look, he doesn't meet anybody. Like,
in all fairness,
he's going to be a weird freako kid no matter what you do with him on this weird compound. So, like, let him...
Yeah, but she loves the kid. It's not her fault she was raped by Superman.
Yeah. I don't know.
She's just trying to do her best.
Yeah. I'm
a character.
Obviously, when I say she's the worst, it's all relative. Very much Stormfront and Homelander are the worst. Number one worst.
Well, we'll see. Head Popper might be the worst.
Yeah, possibly. But, you know, I'm just saying, like, maybe you should have given Butcher a little bit more of a chance to help you out there, and, like, you know, like let's rope her into the boys. Let's have her not be such an outsider, such a distressed damsel.
She's just a downer
in this weird bubble life where, like, all she wants to do is play house with her freako soup son.
I'll say this: there was no long-term plan viability there in terms of what they were doing. So if something had to happen, this is an interesting wrinkle to see what's going to happen with Stormfront and Homelander with a child. Will the boys utilize this child, get a hold of this child? Who knows? Who's to say?
The boy watch.
Could be interesting. The only other thing, Starlight. Okay, so explain this to me. Starlight is caught for being a rat last episode, right? They take her into captivity. Black Noir beats the shit out of her and locks her up.
No, they
her
are
and her mom.
They're suspicious of her.
Okay,
and then she goes and gets with the boys, and they pull the tracker out of her.
Okay. And then she meets with her mom.
Then her mom blows up her spot by telling Ashley
where they're going to be or what they're doing.
That she's meeting with her. Yeah.
Okay, so then Black Noir comes through, knocks them both out cold, out of suspicion, out of obviously it being problematic that she pulled her tracking device. Homelander's already accused her of being a rat. Yep. Now she's in captivity, and they have to break her out, which is the reason that Huey and Lamplighter, the porn addict who ends up lighting himself on fire before Huey has to saw off his hand and comically use it to open doors, that's why they head to the Vought HQ. So, all in all, another exciting one from the boys, certainly one of the more gory ones we've seen, the penultimate episode of Season 2. We have one more to cover, and we will hit the finale for the boys next week right here on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles.
Yeah. Quick tidbit that I saved for this discussion. There's a spinoff of The Boys coming.
I heard this.
Yeah.
Already, which I don't know how to feel about that. Recently, I don't like them spinning off things that aren't done.
Okay. Now, here's the thing.
He did this with The Walking Dead. It got weird.
Okay, that's fair. And this correlates more to that spinoff where it's like it's a spinoff because it comes from the same universe.
None of the same characters.
But none of the same characters.
So I'm more okay with, but it's still distracting as a Boys fan.
No,
where I'm
you're
like,
right.
Okay, what? Now I got to watch this other fucking show too?
I'm totally with you.
Give us a little time.
The recently announced spinoff will take place at a superhero college.
Yeah.
The spinoff would focus on America's only college exclusively for young adult superheroes that's run by the Soup's creators, Vought International.
Does it feel like to you there is a sort of like a frantic grab for this sort of high school, younger college audience on these networks right now? Netflix cranking out stuff like that stupid beach show you watched with the kids
Outer
treasure
Banks,
hunting.
Sure.
This is clearly they've found success with The Boys. It's phenomenal. It's well done. It's got a lot of longevity to it. And they were just like, what can we do with this franchise? Like, it's shocking to me that they're just this far ahead of like going ahead and capitalizing on taking it to another place.
I think now I don't quite know if this falls into this category yet or not. What I think is that there was this vacuum, there was this void in movies and network TV where they basically like started ignoring like rom-coms and like the teenage and college humor type of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's and so the streaming networks seem to have kind of like picked up that torch a little bit. So Netflix is making movies like The Kissing Booth or like the Always Be My Maybe. You know, they're making these kind of like smaller budget, like quick hitters that kind of fill that void.
Right.
Just quickly reading, like thinking about The Boys, quickly reading the synopsis of this new spinoff show, like it would be interesting if they take The Boys and essentially mash together with like American Pie.
Which is what it kind of feels like.
Or you know, like the funny college stuff. Now the college stuff is totally hit or miss.
And that'll also just be so different than the show The Boys.
But you do have Seth Rogen, or I don't know if he's a producer here as well. Let's see.
I think he's going to get credit no matter what.
Yeah. It appears that Kripke and The Boys co-creators Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg will be mining that storyline for the spinoff. The storyline being wherever the G-Men is part of The Boys.
I'll say I trust Seth Rogen with that demo,
and I do too because that's Neighbors, Superbad in Neighbors, which Neighbors got college in a really funny way, and obviously Superbad got high school in a really funny way. So if we're talking about this kind of like coming of age, slapstick,
17,
kind of
18-year-old humor, like he knows that shit.
He does that. He executes really well on that type of stuff.
And then American Pickle.
Yeah. So if you can have some of that like raunchiness combined with this kind of like this subversive superhero stuff, then that could be fun. Could be good.
I'm here to see what happens. I'm a little cautious. That's all I'm saying. A little weirded out by it being this early on, but yeah. Anything else on The Boys?
That's it.
Season finale next week. Can't wait. Season 2 finale of The Boys right here on Oysters, Clams, and Cockles next week. Today's episode of OCC also brought to you by Leesa, makers of the best mattresses in the world. I always say your mattress is just as important as a purchase as your living room television when it comes down to things you're buying for your home. If you don't even remember where it came from, how long you've had it, if you don't wake up every morning feeling like $1 million, it's time to switch to Leesa. I've got the Leesa Legend. It's phenomenal. best bed I've ever had. I slept on the Leesa Hybrid for years and years, and as I described it, it was the most comfortable bed I've ever laid eyes or body on. Upgraded to the Legend for funsies. All their products at Leesa are phenomenal. All have been thoughtfully designed to go beyond creating a comfortable bed to transform your bedroom into a sanctuary you actually want to spend time in. I use their pillow every night. I've got blankets on my couch from Leesa. Incredible, Leesa. Everything they make, seriously, it's the best. They believe all people should have access to deep rest and relaxation, and as such, they make it easy for their customers to know they've made the right choice through their social impact initiatives that they tie to each purchase. They donate 1 mattress at Leesa for every 10 they sell to organizations that work in causes like foster care prevention, and to date, they've donated more than 33,000 mattresses through more than 1,000 nonprofits. So not only is Leesa great, they're doing great things. They've been a longtime sponsor of this show and all Bowling Media podcasts. They've got in-home delivery and setup available. They're made in the USA. Financing is also available. Do not miss out, Clam Fam. Live healthier, live happier by resting deeper. Order today and get 15% off any mattress for a limited time at leesa.com/dragon. Use the promo code DRAGON. That's LEESA.com/dragon. Promo code DRAGON. Leesa! Billy Costa! All right, to close out today, we're talking Lovecraft Country Season 1, Episode 8. Do we have 10 in the season? Is that confirmed?
That is confirmed.
Thank you. All right, this one was a wild fucking ride, as every episode of Lovecraft Country has come to be at this point. What were your overall thoughts on quality? Like, what did this one do for you for the show?
So,
again, I thought it moved things very much in the right direction for me.
In this nonstop roller coaster of a season, I was big high on this episode again. Like, reeled me back in, thought it's constantly doing this tap dance, as we've discussed at length, of like trying to hit all of these different vibes, trying to cover all these different stories and these themes, and tackle all sorts of like social and racial issues, and then also have your wizard stuff and like everything, right? Like it's got so much going on, and I thought it did the dance very, very well this week.
Agree. Feels like they're getting more used to it, like almost episode by episode, in terms of maintaining the balance.
Yeah, and obviously mining the Emmett Till, tragedy was, I thought, very effective as like a background. That was the backdrop for everything that was happening. Is that
something that people in 2020 are very familiar with for the most part,
and like
as well.
This they painted the picture in the background really well, with that kind of like, just to set the mood. Like, this is how people would have been feeling on this day in 1950 Chicago.
And then to see Christina Braithwaite literally put herself through the Emmett Till experience
was intense. Very much so.
To feel it was one of the more intense things I think I've like ever seen play out on screen.
Totally. But I've been really like what we talked about with this was episode 8. Yeah. So we talked about with episode 7, right? We get like these great conversations with people. So we had Hippolyta and George having the conversation, which I thought kind of got glossed over because there was so much other craziness happening. But this one let those conversations simmer a little bit, right? So we had the conversation with Ruby and Christina about caring or not caring about what was happening in the world, about caring about Emmett Till. We had the conversation between Tick and Letty about caring for one another. We had the conversation between Tick and Montrose at the end, which was really good. Like, it let those conversations, which I think really help establish and develop the characters, which are always the most important thing. I thought this show did that really well. And then on top of it, the scary twins, which if Jordan Peele did not help on those, he had to have, because that was straight out of Get Out or Us. It was totally Jordan Peele horror.
If he didn't help on those, he's making an angry phone call.
He's an EP.
Okay, so yes, he helped. Or whoever his person is that he goes to for that.
At the very least, he was like, yeah, you can, totally.
Yes.
Use me as inspiration. They were horrifying. I had chills.
The fucking, you and I have always complained about like unnatural movements. So like every horror movie for 10 years was like, well, we have to have somebody bend over backwards and do the fucking crab walk.
They went there. They
had to have every grandparent like, well, we have to make all old people like do the fucking weird walk down a hallway so that you can shit your pants. And then these kids it was like they incorporated choreographed dancing.
Yeah.
The freakiest shit, bro. I don't know if you've seen It Follows, but this was essentially that. It Follows is a very solid horror movie for those of you who are horror fans, but it's the same concept. There's this thing hunting you, following you. It doesn't stop, and you have to figure out what the deal is. I'm not going to give away the plot of It Follows, but it doesn't play out the same way as it does in Lovecraft Country. Just a very, very, very visually, overstimulating episode almost. But the thing about episode 8, that just like 7, I started to get a really good feel for what is this show, right? What is this show? And every week, it's that you're going to go on an adventure and they're going to tackle different societal issues, especially related to race in America, and they're going to do it in a way that's interesting and horrifying, and they're going to make a lot of analogies and parables and comparisons and contrasting, and it's to monsters and to the sci-fi stuff and to reality. They're going to pull from real history. They're going to do stuff like the Emmett Till thing, which some people were very off-put by, I might add, and because they felt like it was exploitation, which is interesting to me because when it's used for a purpose of a larger message, which I thought it very effectively was, then I don't know. Here's my problem. I don't know who's to say if that's okay. You know what I mean? And it's certainly fucking not me. I do know that. But all in all, it's just Lovecraft Country has found ways.
Wait, say that again.
There are people who are upset with Emmett Till being a part of the story.
Oh, okay.
That a real historical figure, which apparently is portrayed earlier in the season as well. We apparently see Emmett Till for a few seconds because Diana Freeman is best friends with his mother.
Okay.
And that's how he gets tied into this episode.
Right, because Dee is that's her good close friend. Emmett was.
Right. Okay. And then she's the one running from the monsters all episode. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Anyway, just all of it hit for me again, and the ending of the episode, obviously, where Tick is staring down the barrel of about 40 police officers as a solitary black man in the street, couldn't have been more well-timed. And then what happens couldn't have been cooler, which is that a fucking monster explodes out of the earth and eats all of the cops.
The spell worked.
He is clearly protected.
Yeah.
He cannot be killed at the moment, which is a really big deal.
Yeah, and what I liked here and what this episode kind of finally went to is that we keep and I guess we could have guessed this, but why was Atticus so intent on getting the Book of Names and the spells? Why was he so intent on learning the magic? What was it about? He kept talking about protection, right? Protection. Arguably from Christina Braithwaite, I guess. But they had kind of fallen into this whole Braithwaite situation at a happenstance. So they didn't really know a lot about any of that, right?
Almost
they
nothing.
didn't know about the Sons of Adam. They didn't know about this magical world that they happened to be living in.
He didn't know he had some relation to this.
He didn't know about his background of being tied to this group in some way or possessing this type of magic. So to have him suddenly be all about this I got to learn the spells, I need the protection. Now it kind of that scene especially, which I agree was really powerful and well done, puts that into frame for you. They suddenly see this access point to this potential new layer of protection from the entire world that surrounds them, that is constantly after them.
Yes.
Whether that is the racist police or whether that is scary monsters or whether that is Christina Braithwaite in a world of wizards, it's everything, right?
Yeah.
They need protection from all parts of the world.
Which
and
is
so
again the thing that this show draws so well on.
If they can get this leg up and find an advantage and learn spells that give protection to them and theirs, then they want it, and that makes a lot of sense.
And that's something that when you look at American society has totally failed to exist for black people in the United States. They don't ever feel like they have historically not felt like they have a savior, something to bail them out of the system that clearly was built to keep them down. And this is that visually springing forth from the ground.
Yeah.
A defense that against the police and police brutality in the United States that no human has, right? So there's this incredible comparison, and that's what sci-fi should do. Good sci-fi should cause you to draw comparisons to the real world. Good horror should cause you to think about shit in a different light. And this is like, it's just really powerful TV at this point, and where there have been episodes where I've been sort of like, I don't really get what they're doing here. Like, what is the bigger show going to look like storyline-wise? What in the hell? It's really starting to come together in a way that has me paying attention just as much as anything else we're watching right now or have watched in 2020. I'm completely locked in. Where I thought like I was about to fly off the hook and they were going to lose me back into the waters of the 1,000 shows we have to watch, just when I think I'm out, they pull me back in. And this is 2 in a row that they're on fire for me. And I can't wait to see how we've got 2 more.
So last week was the crazy space one. That one was high for you?
Yeah, because I watched Crazy Space one right after I watched Korea one, so they blended together into one. But I liked the Crazy Space. It didn't speak as much to like me and what's going on in my life or in the world, but it was still really, really cool. But yeah, no, I'm high as hell on this show. I was also high as hell when I watched that space episode, which could explain some of it.
Yeah, just a couple of quick points on here to wrap up Lovecraft Country.
Wrap us up.
There's a lot that you and I certainly look over, and I'm not faulting us for that. But kind of the way in the way that I talked about a few weeks ago about not having as like my capacity for enjoyment of the show might be lower than for others.
And I'll give you my analogy was that my white suburban raised ass cannot listen to a Kendrick Lamar album and have it have the same impact on me that it does for a black person who was raised under different circumstances.
So there are lots of things here that I'm missing that I could spend all day going in and like learning more about.
And that's what I mean. That's so great about the show. They hit so many things, a lot of which you and I aren't even able to fucking identify.
So the last one, when Hippolyta joins up with the French dancer Josephine Baker, like that's a real person who has like an awesome story.
And again, they're wrapping in real characters, real people from real history. And that's a cool element to me. It's just they took a weird step, or a more dangerous step, I would say, with Emmett Till this week than they did with that particular dancer. But yeah, they're bringing in all types of historical elements.
Yeah, so Josephine Baker was a black American who moved to Paris and took over the scene there, like one of the biggest stage stars. During World War II, she became one of the best spies of the French Revolution, was awarded the highest medal possible for a foreigner, the same medal that General Patton got, then spent her post-war days fighting for civil rights.
And what's her name?
Josephine Baker.
Josephine
and also,
Baker.
Shouts to our Discord mod, Alerted Payload, who helped inform me on that one. And so then this week, we got the book that the Scary Twins sprung forth from, Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Oh yeah, that's a real book.
You
never learned about this shit?
But I don't. About what?
Uncle Tom's Cabin?
I'm not, like, I know that is a book. I saw that book and I was like, yes, I know that's a real book.
Harriet Beecher Stowe.
But I don't know all of the historical context or the way that we feel about that book now versus then. Like I'm sure that felt very purposeful that book was there.
It's an anti-slavery novel.
Okay.
We learned about it in middle school, which I'm being very transparent here, was so long ago that I don't remember a lot of the context to Harriet Beecher Stowe's Uncle Tom's Cabin. I just remember that it was obviously written by a black woman who was trying to portray some of the issues in the United States at the time.
Yeah. So, there's all sorts of little Easter eggs like that and things pulled from real history and real context that, like, it not only are those opportunities for us to learn more, but they're also pointing to the fact that we don't learn enough when we're younger, right?
Yeah, or we just don't. It's things that, for white people in particular, like, you hold on to the pieces of history that you feel like you identify with.
Sure.
And the ones that you don't understand, which honestly, there's just no way in middle school I had the emotional or intellectual capacity to understand what I was being taught in regard to a lot of the issues that we have in the United States historically, which is one of the reasons it took me so long as a white American to even get to a place where I could feel like I could partially get what was going on. So, yeah, it's weird, man, but I've felt with every episode that they have closed the gap for me, where it feels less like I feel like I'm missing less week by week because I'm starting to get a feel for what the show is doing and the purpose behind all of its different narratives, right? They're all talking about different. But I have one question before we finish. Is William a person, or is that just Christina?
It's just Christina.
So there is no William Braithwaite?
No. The body of William Braithwaite is the man that's in the hospital bed, and we don't know. He's just some rando, I'm pretty sure.
Huh. Weird shit. Okay. Well,
yeah,
anything else on Lovecraft?
But Christina and William are the same person. So, which adds a whole new layer of to that relationship between Ruby and Christina / William.
Now you've got the sexuality spectrum and all these different things involved too. Now that's again very impressive writing in that way. It may have had a couple stumbles here and there, along the first 7 episodes. 8 was phenomenal to me, and I'm very much looking forward to the final 2. Any closing thoughts on Lovecraft?
I'm just curious if they intend to go more than one season with this show at this point.
I'd be shocked if they didn't.
If they did not?
Yeah.
You think it's set up to continue?
I think it's a few seasons. I don't think you can run this for too long, but I think there's enough to play with, and it's going to be, HBO needs more shows for black audiences, man. They need more black tentpole shows, and they've started to finally stack a few. I'd be fucking shocked if they had one that is this good, and just based on numbers alone or something, because I think it's doing well.
I think it's doing well.
But it's not like, some crazy breakout hit that's fucking doing insane numbers and getting talked about on every network and podcast.
Right.
But it would be crazy to me if they walked away from it because, again, they need that.
Sure.
And it's amazing. So I don't know. But to your point, you could end it after one season.
Well, I'm asking.
The story itself is that you could tie it up.
Yeah, and I'm asking because it's obviously based on a book that's 10 chapters long, or 8 chapters long, which they're doing in 10 episodes. So they could, if they're just going book, they could wrap it up. But I think you make a good point that there's certainly, based on what they're doing with the show, it doesn't seem like they need to wrap it up. They could continue with this and continue diving into all sorts of more interesting storylines. And really,
you've got Jordan Peele, you've got J.J. Abrams. Does that strike you as a duo that they want to run one season and then bounce? They
did with Damon.
That's a good point.
And it's kind of up to them.
Yeah.
And up to Misha Green, the showrunner. So.
Yeah, so they don't know yet. Nobody knows yet, apparently, if it's going to be set up for a second season. I think we'll get a good feel for...
Once again, this is also... We go back to what we talked about with Glow and High Fidelity, man. Like, Jonathan Majors is like a bona fide star now. I'm sure he has stuff lined up if they can't get back to production on this relatively quickly. Hopefully this is one that they would come back to because they want to come back to it.
And everything
regardless of the situation, but
everything I'm reading is pointing to it being likely that if they wanted a second, they could get it because of the success.
Yes.
So I think it'll depend mostly on what they want to do with it. So we'll see. And again, we got 2 more episodes to kind of get a feel for where it puts us at the end of season 1, whether they're aiming for more or they want to call that. But we'll be back for the penultimate episode of season 1 of Lovecraft Country on HBO next week. And that will do it for today's episode of OCC, produced by Mike Moody Garcia of Permanent Record Studios in Austin, Texas. Huge thanks again to our sponsors today for supporting the show. Support our sponsors who support us. Felix Gray Glasses. Go to felixgrayglasses.com/OCC. Get you some of the best blue light glasses in the game. And then, of course, Leesa.com/dragon. Get yourself a bed that gets you the sleep and the rest and the comfort you need each and every night at Leesa.com/dragon. And if for some reason you're like, you know what, I just don't need any glasses and I don't need a new bed, then you can support us directly in exchange for more ad-free exclusive episodes of OCC, 1 a week if you join the Mollusk Militia each month on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles. There are several tiers, Mollusk Militia being $10 a month. It's our highest tier. It's our most dedicated, loyal, and supportive listeners, and they get 4 episodes ad-free a month on patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles, one of which is the Mollusk Militia exclusive hotline call extravaganza, where they have their own hotline that only members of the Mollusk Militia can call, and they can call about anything they want, from TV shows we're watching to TV shows we've watched in the past to movies they've seen recently to movies we watched, anything, literally anything that is under the umbrella of, obviously, television, film, and entertainment that we discuss. Available for the Mollusk Militia right there on their exclusive hotline. We've got a wiretappers tier that is, I believe it was 1 person deep last time I checked. It's one guy getting access to the Mollusk Militia episodes, but not access to the hotline. But we also have our Crustacean Nation tier, which is just a minimum pledge of $5 a month to support the show, and in exchange you get 3 additional episodes of OCC ad-free each month. So go to patreon.com/oysters, clams, cockles and support Barrett and I and Oysters, Clams, and Cockles as a podcast today. Thank you so much. And follow us on social media for updates on the best in TV and film content you can find on the whole of the internet. We're on Instagram at Oysters, Clams, Cockles. We're on Twitter at Clams and Cockles, and Facebook.com/Oysters, Clams, Cockles. My name is Ross Bolin, and you can follow me at WR Bolin on all social media, at WRBOLEN on Twitter, Instagram, and Snapchat. And then listen to my show, The Ross Bolin Podcast, a humor and comedy show focused on mental health, current events, sports, music, history, animals, and more, available wherever you listen to Oysters, Clams, and Cockles. Mr. Dudley, where can we follow you on social media and hear more of your voice?
Yes, follow me at Barrett Dudley, Instagram and Twitter, and then you can check out the Club Cool podcast wherever you're listening to this one. You can also follow along with the pod on Instagram at Club Cool Pod if you want to see what that show's all about. Give us a listen.
Yeah. That'll do it. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here. Cannot wait to, we're closing out The Boys next week?
We'll be closing,
Season 2 of The Boys ends next week. Yellowstone Season 2, Episode 2 and 3 next week. And then, of course, Lovecraft Country's penultimate episode next week. Huge episode of Oysters, Clams, and Cockles coming next week. Until our next helping. Adios, muchachos.